and welcome to a Resource Review ICT special. In the limelight today are 3 ICT resources for primary drama that you might want to consider. They are a website of theatre history, a CD-ROM of Shakespearean activities, and inspirational short film downloads. Recommending today's resources is Colin Jackson, drama consultant for City of York Council Arts Education Team.
Hi.
On the panel today we have Ray Barker, Director of the British Educational Suppliers Association, and Janice Hamilton, Deputy Head Teacher at St Mary's Catholic Primary School in Aston-le-Walls, Northamptonshire. Now, over in the test lab, our resident ICT investigator Matthew Tosh will be putting the resources through their paces. Well, Colin, the first choice of resource for us today, it's a website and it's called People Play UK. Tell us about this resource and why you've chosen it.
It's a relatively new website. As I understand, it was funded by the New Opportunities Fund, and it's a wonderful portal into theatre history and genre and styles of theatre. We've got timelines, so we can have a look at elements of theatre history through the ages. We've got opportunities to have a look at the collections that the Theatre Museum have. And we can have a look at guided tours around different genres such as pantomime, musical, black theatre. And on this particular page you've got a very, very detailed account of how pantomime originated from Commedia dell'arte, from Italy, right the way through to modern day.
OK, well, before we go any further, let's put Matthew in the spotlight and let's go over to the test lab to see how People Play UK performs.
People Play is essentially an online museum of theatre history in Britain. It features collections from theatres, costumes and images aplenty. And by way of example, we've got some guided tours here talking about the history of performance in the UK, featuring sound and images. But I want to go straight to the timelines using this button here at the top, because this is where children can learn about the history of black performance, women in theatre and even puppetry. So here we have our timeline, and I can jump to later times just by clicking on the top bar there. Now, this section of the website is a bit text heavy, but it's made up for the fact that there are some interesting images to use to learn about puppetry. Well, the activities section is where you can really interact with the website and have a bit more fun. On the right hand side we've got some quizzes, and at the bottom there's the dressing the part game. So we'll just go through the stage door. And the idea here is that you have to find actors and return them to the dressing room. So here's one of them here. Actors get everywhere, so you have to round them up. And once you've got them in the dressing room, this is a Cinderella performance, so we need to get them into costume. And I reckon this one's going to be the ugly sister. We'll have Prince Charming, nice slim fellow there. And then Cinderella herself. And the game continues. You take them through to makeup and then give them props. So if nothing else, it shows children some of the things that go on behind the scenes in a theatre. By far the most impressive thing on here, though, is the collection of digitised artefacts. There are over 1,500 on the website. But don't panic, you can create your own login on the website to help organise the images for use with future classes. And now back to Hermione.
Well, Colin, Matthew certainly seemed impressed by the website. But one thing I want to clarify, the Theatre Museum in London is on the verge of closing. What's going to happen to the website?
Well, I understand because of the nature of the funding for the website that its future's secured.
Right.
So that's good news for everyone, I think.
All right. Well, now let's go over to Janice. Janice, you've trialled this resource with your class. What do you think of it?
One of the particular things I like about it is that is the cross-curricular links that you can make and putting music and drama into their social context. If you were doing Victorians at the seaside, you could look at the Punch and Judy, download the images, use them on interactive sheets for the children to use.
And how did your pupils actually respond to it?
Well, we used it to supplement some drama work that we've been doing in the class, and we looked at the particular bit on the website that was looking at reviews of pantomimes. And so after reading the reviews, they then wrote reviews of their own production. So it's certainly a winner with me.
Let's see if Ray agrees. Ray?
I think it's a great one-off site, actually, because it's very rare to find a site where somebody has collected together so much excellent kind of material, which is of kind of multi-use. When I first saw it, I thought it was going to just be a teacher resource because it looks a bit wordy to start with. But I think part of the joy of it is to drill down. As you drill down, you realise there's lots of support for kind of non-specialists as well.
Well, a very popular first choice of resource there. Now let's move on to Colin's second choice. It's a CD-ROM called Cartouche Primary Shakespeare. Colin, tell us more about this resource and why you picked it out.
Well, it's billed as a supplement to the study of Shakespeare at primary level and fundamentally covers 3 key texts, Midsummer Night's Dream, Macbeth and Romeo and Juliet. And it provides a multimedia addition or embedment of ICT into Shakespeare's study. And I think the strength about it is the fact that it engages a range of learners.
Well, let's go over to Matthew now for Act 2 to see what he made of Cartouche Primary Shakespeare.
Cartouche Primary Shakespeare contains 3 self-contained study units, and this allows children to interact with presentations and storyboards. We'll have a look at the third one here, which is about Romeo and Juliet. Now, if we look at the top of the list here, you can see the objectives and the learning outcomes of the activity. And if I go a bit further down, we can have a look at one of the storyboards. And in this activity, students are asked questions about the different scenes in the play. And these questions come up in the bottom area here, and that's where they can type their answers as well. If I click on one of the scenes, and it comes up in the frame in a bit more detail, you can see our character and the dialogue. And there is an audio support function. If I click on the play button...
Welcome, gentlemen. Ladies that have their toes unplagued with corns will walk about with you.
There's no doubt that will certainly help with comprehension. Well, some of the activities on here ask children to create their own storyboards from scratch. And in this particular example, we're going to create a scene from A Midsummer Night's Dream. Well, the toolbar on the right-hand side allows you to add characters, scenery and props. So we'll have a bit of background first. There's plenty to choose from here, and then we'll add a character. We'll have a bottom, just to see how that looks. If I right-click on the character, I can change the character's pose. I can change their size as well. Now, the buttons down here allow you to add speech, and you've even got the option of recording your own dialogue, just to add that extra creative touch. And then once you've finished, and you've created all your scenes in your storyboard, you can save it either as a work in progress or as a QuickTime movie. There's plenty on here to keep both teachers and pupils fully engaged. And on that note, we'll go back to Hermione.
Well, Janice, how did you get on with Cartouche Primary Shakespeare?
The children engaged immediately with the interactive nature of the programme. One of the real advantages is that it develops collaborative discussion. For children who find the written word quite difficult, for your special needs children, the audio feature I think is a great plus, that they can record their thoughts and insert them into their particular bit of the storyboard. Very good feature.
Ray, what do you think?
I think there are 2 things about Cartouche products. One, that they're based upon games technology, so the graphics, the kind of interface, immediately kids respond to it. The second thing is it's open-ended, it's a tool. So if teachers are coming expecting to be curriculum-based and to lead them through automatically some route, and it isn't going to happen. So my feeling, particularly with Shakespeare at, say, Year 6 in strategy, where it's there, you know, and they've got to do it, is that you're probably going to be dealing with a lot of non-specialist teachers, and so they're going to have to be really clear about what they're going to get out of this particular resource, or else you probably end up with dressing up dollies or something like that.
I would like just to come back on something that you've said, because I think the manual that comes with it is very, very comprehensive, and I think for the non-specialist that is a great tool.
Yeah, I think it's a resource that knows its own limitations, and the resource pack makes that clear, but also it knows its own strengths. So I think there's lots of room for creative use of it within the classroom.
Well, now let's move on to Colin's third choice of resource. And Colin, explain this one to us, because you're advocating the use of downloadable short films, is that right?
Yeah, well, what the internet has done is it's given a public forum for a whole range of filmmakers who are doing some wonderful work. And Pocket Movies, which is the website that we're looking at for the two films that I'm focusing on. In particular, you've got a whole range of films using theatre and filmmaking genre that young people can apply in their own work, and that's really why I've focused on the two films that we're going to be looking at today. Now, this particular film really looks at the notion of memories and forms the foundation of a wonderful project on reminiscence.
How do you actually advocate the teacher using it?
Well, I think it's a starting point for work, and it's a discussion. What do they like about the film? What don't they like about the film? What do they notice about the film?
Do you want to give us a quick look at another film?
Yeah, this one's called Grimm and looks at a traditional story tale told in a very modern way. And what you've got here is a simple technique where there's a juxtaposition between the traditional language that's used within the story and the modern setting.
There once lived a young prince in a land far from his home. He had reached that age, as all princes do, where it had been time for him to leave his parents' home and seek out the most beautiful princess in the world as his bride. As it happens, he had done just that. One day out riding, he'd heard the sweetest singing coming from a high-walled tower.
And again, within the context of work that I've done within literacy, the children have had great fun identifying how there's been an adaptation of form and content and applying that in their own work.
All right. Well, time for short comments from the panel. Janice, what do you think of using films as a resource?
I think using visual learning experiences has been one of the most powerful things that's come into the teaching of literacy and drama and English over the last 5 years. I think with the interactive whiteboard and children actually being immersed into stories and drama is very, very powerful.
Have you found films easy to access, easy to find?
They're becoming more available on the internet now, but there are also some other really good resources out. The British Film Institute have brought out some resources for Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2 that are well worth looking at.
Ray, what do you think?
Brilliant in the hands of a good teacher, I would think, but just a plea, I think, for as this whole area grows on the internet, there needs to be an education process in place for teachers, because not everything is free on the internet. There are whole copyright issues which need to be addressed, so you need to be really clear about what you are downloading and how you can use it, when you can use it, and indeed if you can use it. So a slight warning there.
OK, well, thank you all very much. That's all we've got time for today. We'll have to bring the curtain down on today's resource review. But just to recap, the 3 resources that we looked at were People Play UK from the Theatre Museum, part of the Victoria and Albert Museum, Cartouche Primary Shakespeare from Immersive Education Limited, and short films from the internet, in this instance The Piano and Grimm, downloadable from the Pocket Movies website. For more information about the resources featured today, go to our website. It's teachers.tv/resource review, or if you want to, email us, resourcereview@teachers.tv. A very big thank you to our panel, to Colin, to Janice and to Ray. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on Resource Review. Bye-bye.